Well, guys, I've got a lot of really cool OOTP stuff to share with you today. So the first thing that we're going to go over is this ratings converter, which I have created to, as the name suggests, convert ratings. Currently, it only converts 1 to 250 to 1 to 120 to 80, and 1 to 100 to 20 to 80. It does not include any other scales, but I will probably add them later. However, this is 100% accurate with only one exception, or two exceptions, that I know of, and you just scroll down and you can find exactly what your rating is, either on the game engine's scale or on the other scale. This will make it much easier for you to converse between people and figure out exactly where their ratings would mean for your rating system. And since these are the two most popular rating systems, and of course the one that the game engine uses, this should be helpful for you guys. And now we are going to move on to the next thing. Really cool stuff here. We have a defensive rating system. Now, what exactly does this spreadsheet I've got set up do? Well, it tells you just how valuable a player is going to be on defense. So let's go over here. I currently have second base, third base, and shortstop set up. So you can just plug in the ratings of your second base, third base, or shortstop that you are looking at here. As you can go to this drop down menu, select the value you want to check out, and it'll give you an idea of just how impactful these ratings will be as range changes down here on the left. And yeah, overall, this is really cool. It will literally tell you how valuable they're going to be per game, how valuable they're going to be over a season, and what their position rating actually is rather than just what the game engine spits out at you. So here we have second base, where you can have a huge variance in your performance from 20 grade across the board being minus 60 runs a year. So in other words, your team allows 60 more runs a season to the best case second baseman with 200s across the board, which would be a 100 or an 80 on the 1 to 120 to 80 scales respectively, saving a whole whopping 70 runs a season. I don't think I need to really explain the values of those, as I've done that in a different video, but I mean, it is very apparent that this defense is hugely important, and being able to see it lay out here is great. You can do the same thing with third base and shortstop, as I was saying. You go into there and you just mess around with these ratings, and you can get whatever it is you're looking for. So if you're trying to figure out what a shortstop like this would look like, well, here's the value that they'll give you over a full season. Now, a fully rated shortstop is going to give you the most defensive production of any position as far as I know. So you really want to have that 200 grade shortstop because they're expected. Oh, wait, this is third base. Yeah, so third base, still a very huge expected defensive impact. Actually, larger than second base. So if you have two spare shortstops, you may want to consider dropping them at third instead of second. That's not serious, of course, but so if you have a full decked out defensive shortstop here, you can save up to 90 runs a season just by having a really good shortstop. I mean, that's 9 wins, guys. 9 wins right there. You can't really argue with that. I mean, it's elite stuff. On the other hand, a really terrible shortstop is going to cost you 144 runs per season. That is 14 and a half wins. Nobody's ever going to play shortstop this bad, of course, but that is just youch. That is really bad. And if you want to rate your own players, all you have to do is come in here, make a copy of this spreadsheet, and then plug in whatever values you want here for these drop-down menus. So if you have a shortstop who, and again, this is where the ratings converter comes in handy. You go down, you find your rating, and then you convert it to the 1 to 250 scale. If you have a shortstop who, say, has 70 grade arm, 75 grade error, a 70 grade range, and 70 grade turn double plays, on the 20 to 80 scale. Let's go down and find what those would roughly translate to. So let's say 170 for everything but the arm and 185 for arm. And we can come down here and substitute for these range values. So let's put a 170 in here. And your expected defensive performance is going to be a whopping 55 runs saved. So that's 5.5 wins right there from your shortstop if this is the guy you're running. Of course, I would rather have the top tier guy, but that's still pretty darn good. And if you guys are curious, when it comes to catchers and first basemen, I do not currently have an accurately measured catcher arm number, so I can't really give you weighted catcher defensive metrics. But I do have here a table like I have on these other areas for catcher ability. The catcher arm is going to come sometime not far into 22, and it should allow me to give you a more accurate weighted catcher rating. Now, with first base, defense matters so little that I cannot tell you with the data I've collected how each rating is going to impact your defense, and it's not going to make a huge difference. First base, you just have to clear the benchmarks, which I've put in here. You pretty much just want 20 grade range on the 1 to 100 scale and a 5'11" person, and it does not matter what their other ratings are, they will be tolerable. Now, when it comes to outfield defense, I haven't done this yet either. These are all be to be created soon. First base as well. It will be the last thing to come, however. Catcher, I should have up and running very soon. Outfield defense, not too long after that, I should have ready to go. And first base will probably be a while off, honestly, because I'm going to have to collect a massive sample size to get meaningful data there. Now, as for OOTP 22, that is going to potentially change the game engine, in which case we are going to be looking at potentially different ratings, which of course means that this data may not necessarily be valid. I will be getting OOTP 22 on the 22nd as I have pre-ordered it, which will allow me to test at least a good portion of these ratings before the game releases. So in other words, I can tell you whether or not I think certain things are going to be the same in 22 before the release date, and you will know in advance whether or not the spreadsheet will apply. If not, I will quickly get together new data to give you an accurate representation of the new game and anything else that it may contain. I will have a new simulation style set up for 22, so the spreadsheet will look a little bit different at that point. Now, while this is the spreadsheet I recommend you look at, I am actually using this spreadsheet to experiment with stuff. So if you want to see what I'm working on right now, or my incredibly wrong catcher arm ratings, you can come down to this spreadsheet, which I will also link in the chat. I really, really strongly do not recommend using any data in this spreadsheet. I would just suggest using it to see what I am looking at and what I am currently working on, because the rest of it is probably going to be wrong, if anything, compared to this one, where I'm only putting in things where I am highly confident. I am just messing around with this version. As you can see, I have actual position ratings here. I am trying to cut what your player will actually look like into these slots, given these ratings, by the OOTP generated positional rating, which of course is not as accurate as your weighted position ratings here, but nonetheless should give you an accurate idea of how close to being fully trained your players are. Speaking of which, I will also be soon creating a training algorithm which should be able to take what their current positional rating is and their defensive ratings and give you an idea of approximately how trained they are at their position. I really hope these spreadsheets are helpful to you guys. Let me know what you're looking for in terms of your defensive metrics and what you hope to see from your players and from me in terms of being able to help you out with evaluating these metrics. I will see you guys on the next video where I will dive deeper into what I believe this spreadsheet means and the importance of each number.